Hi all. So in today's class, we are going to see about in detail macro and micronutrients. So we were looking at like introduction about the nutrition and dietetics, what is the scope of a nutrition and relationship between the anatomy and also with the nutrition, right? So now we are going to see about the nutrients. So we are starting with the main concepts. So already we have started with physiology and nutrition. Now we are going to see about the main concepts about the different types of nutrients and what is the role of it and what are the sources that we can consume. Okay. So first we are going to look at macronutrients. So when it comes to macro, the term means macro. Meaning of a macro is all about the consumption of that specific nutrient has to be in a huge amount, like it is a basic requirement for any human being for a daily activities, like for walking, jogging, or any sort of a resting position, or even to look at any sort of a television or something like that. We need a certain span of an energy requirement. So that energy requirement will be provided by the macronutrients to the maximum potential. Okay, so that is what we are going to look at now. So the first macronutrient. So what is macronutrient? Macronutrient is of different types. We know carbohydrates, yes, protein, fat, and fiber in general. Okay, so these are certain sort of a macronutrients, and this plays a very important role in everyday diet. Okay, so whatever we consume in everyday basis, that consists of a carbohydrate in general. So for example, we Indians, we consume more amount of like in northern side they go with wheat. Okay, we go with all this hata, and in southern side they go with rice. Yeah, so whatever it is, a bread or any sort of a food product are rich in carbohydrates, and that we consume in everyday basis. Yes, and also when it comes to protein, if a non-vegetarians can go with a egg or any sort of a chicken or something like that, or rich source of a protein, or else we can go with a paneer or tofu or whatever it is. They are rich contributors towards the protein requirement. Okay, and when it comes to fat, we add oil for every general purpose, and along with that, certain food products are also rich in source of oil, and that provides us a good amount of polyunsaturated fatty acids, um, or any other we can go with the omega 3 fatty acids or 6 fatty acids, which is a rich source through the fish consumption. Okay, so these are the major components of a macronutrients. This is an overview about the macronutrients. Now we are going to start with macronutrient. Macronutrient is all about the energy yielding nutrient, which I told you, and that provides the vast majority of in metabolic energy. So when it comes to the metabolic energy, whatever the food we consume, as we saw in digestive system, that has been broken down into the simpler products, and that provides us energy, right? So the metabolic process has to be initiated or has to be supported by probably by carbs, which is glucose in general. Okay, so there are, as they told, there are three main macronutrients, which is carbohydrates, protein, and fat. So the macronutrient is carbohydrate. So what is carbohydrate? So carbohydrate has been classified based on the simple carbohydrate and complex carbohydrate. Simple is called as monosaccharides and disaccharides, and complex carbohydrates are called as polysaccharides. Okay. So what is monosaccharide? Monosaccharide is all about the combination of sugars. Okay. So what is carbohydrate? Carbohydrate is made up of a sugar. Okay. It's a glucose content that provides us an energy. Okay, so the single carbohydrate, for example, if suppose a monosaccharide, they are being classified into various classifications, stating we can go with triosis, tetrosis, pentosis, and hexosis. Yes, when it comes to monosaccharides, we have glucose, yeah, and fructose. Yeah, so these are the certain monosaccharides which is present, and the monosaccharides combined together, that is providing us with the disaccharide, and then we have polysaccharides. Okay, so these are the certain process and glycogen that has been providing along with the body's potentiality to provide an energy. Yeah. Okay. So what is the types? We saw, like I told you, like different types, right? So let us see the types. So basically, when it comes to polysaccharide will be digested or will be broken down into monosaccharide. Okay. So glucose goes process of an intestinal epithelium, and that digestion occurs, and then it enters into the bloodstream. And glucose generally transports and delivers the energy for the cells, and they get oxidized and they provide an energy. That is how the process goes. If in case the energy or a glucose that is being transmitted through the blood is not being utilized, it will be converted into glycogen and stored into the body, or else it will be converted into the fat and stored into the body. Okay, so what are different types of carbohydrates? First is monosaccharide. As I told you, what is monosaccharide? It is a single carbohydrate unit, and that consists of glucose, fructose, and galactose. Okay, and then we have disaccharide. Disaccharide is like two single, that is two monosaccharides combined together. We have different types of disaccharides, like we have sucrose, maltose, isomaltose, and lactose. Okay, and then we have polysaccharides. Polysaccharides are also different types of units which is being combined together, like different monosaccharides or disaccharides combined together that provide a polysaccharide. We can go with we can polysaccharides are being classified into two different categories, which is homopolysaccharides and heteropolysaccharides. Okay, and they consist of the starch and all the stuffs. Okay, starch, and they have contracting sulfate, they have heparin, yeah, they have chitin and all these things. These are the certain units or certain nutrients that has been provided for the body, and that has been broken down into the glucose in general. Okay, so these are the different types of different types of carbohydrates which is present. So that is carbohydrate. So carbohydrate are being classified into monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polysaccharides. Okay. So now we are going to see about fiber. So fiber doesn't much come under macronutrients, but fiber is very important source. Let's see what is fiber. So fiber is a form of is a form of carbohydrate which is complicated. We call it as a complex or complicated carbohydrate, and that cannot be digested so easily. It takes time to digest. Okay, so most probably fibers are present in plants, fruits, vegetables, and legumes in general, and grains also consist of fiber. Okay, so adults in basic they need 21 to 38 grams of fiber, and children maybe 19 grams a day. Okay, and Americans generally they consume just 15 grams, so they don't impart more and more of fiber in general, and that is why they end up in various chronic disorders, and they end up in diabetes or what to say, any sort of a cardiovascular disorders or something. It doesn't mean that only Americans are suffering. Indians don't have any sort of a chronic disorder. Nowadays Indians are also getting diabetes in genetic manner. Like every Indians, like when we take up the ratio, most of the Indians have been diabetic in general. So now the trend is changing. Fiber, you would have seen a ad stating advertisement. I'm not ready to announce any sort of like brands or something, but when it comes to an ad, in the specific ad, they would have mentioned like diabetes is nothing meaning stating cutting down of the carbohydrate or cutting down sugar. You will have to see how much amount of fiber you're consuming. Yes, consumption of a fiber, increased amount of a fiber, that is prescribed consumption of a amount of a fiber, will help you to reduce the blood glucose spike. So it's very important for us to include fiber in our diet. Okay, so that is very important thing. And also fiber helps us to have reduce the chances of getting all this colon cancer, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and diabeticular disease and constipation. Yeah, so these are the certain contributors when it comes to the fiber. And fiber, next important, whenever we are talking about the fiber, it is very important to address glycemic index. Okay, what is glycemic index? Glycemic index in general is being meant that the amount of the carbohydrate that is present in any food, the food that is rich in carbohydrate has an higher glycemic index, and that digests easily in the body and immediately spikes the blood glucose level. So that is the concept. Okay, uh, see the sentence that is given in the slide. It measures how fast, how far blood sugar will rise after consuming carbohydrate. So glycemic index is all about when you consume a food that immediately spikes your blood glucose level, the meaning is carbo glycemic index is high. Okay, so that is considered as a high glycemic index foods. So when does the blood sugar doesn't rise? Okay, when a food is low with glycemic index, we can name it or we can call it when a fiber is there in a food, that doesn't break down easily. It takes time to digest and it takes time to provide you an energy. It's slow process. And that is why fiber is a major contributor when it comes to majorly diabetes and heart diseases also. Okay. So this is the concept of a glycemic index. Now, the second macronutrient, protein. Protein is made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, and along with nitrogen. Okay, and it's an inorganic molecule, and that can be easily distinguished from macronutrients. So, protein are made up of a building blocks of amino acid, and combined amino acids are called as polypeptide. Okay, like more than 10 or 100 numbers of amino acids are combined together, they are called as in polypeptide. Proteins are relatively larger in molecules, so more amount of amino acids are combined together. That provides us with the protein component, and they form a shorter polypeptide chains also and longer polypeptide chains also, and that formation is being initiated or formed through mRNA and tRNA. Okay, so next is going to be, in general, when it comes to any sort of a protein provides you the major energy sources. Okay, so proteins are also classified in different formats. Okay, so proteins, general proteins are made up of amino acids and they provide various amount of classifications. We have totally 20 amino acids. Okay, 20 amino acids, in which we have totally essential and non-essential amino acids, 9 essential amino acids and 11 non-essential amino acids. Okay, what is meaning of essential and non-essential amino acids? Essential in general, uh, they are required through an external diet consumption. Okay, they are not present within the food, I mean within the body. Okay, they are being present in food, and consuming that specific food will give you the specific amount of a essential amino acids. Okay, non-essential amino acids is like it has been synthesized within the body, so there is no requirement to any sort of external source of an protein. So it is being synthesized within the body, so there is no requirement of consumption through food. When it comes to essential, it has to be consumed through food. Okay, so this is what is two different types of amino acids in general. So now we are going to see about lipids. So when it comes to lipids they provide 9 kilocalories. Okay, they provide 9 kilocalories, and what is function of a lipid is to store the energy in form of an adipose tissue, and they also provide protection, um, organ protection, temperature regulation, and also insulation, and they cover the myelin cells, nerve cells, and that provides and act as an emulsifiers also. Lipid is an organic molecule of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, and they have glycerol fatty acids which has been combined together. So there are three types: triglycerides, saturated fatty acids, and monosaturated fatty acids. Triglycerides are composed of three fatty acids and one glycerol. Saturated fatty acids or fatty acid with carbon chains and fully saturated with hydrogen. Okay, and monosaturated or basically a fatty acids of carbon chain that is with one unsaturated. So we have polyunsaturated fatty acids, and they are being composed of more double bonds in general. Okay, so these are the certain lipids consumption. And when it comes to lipids, they provide an essential fatty acids of polyunsaturated fatty acids, and we have linolenic and linoleic and eicosapentaenoic acid and docosahexaenoic acid, which we call it as EPA and DHA. And when it comes to EPA, it's all about found in fish, and DHA, it is basically helping us to what to say, with a good amount of fat which has to be consumed through the diet. So we have DHA in general, and which is also consumed through fish. Okay, so EP and DHA plays a very important role in a diet, and that has to be a part and parcel of your diet. Okay, EPA is omega, and DHA is docosahexaenoic acid. And when it comes to linoleic, they are omega 6 fatty acids. And when it comes to linolenic, they are also omega 3 fatty acids in general. And these omega 3 and omega 6 are probably nowadays they are being found in market as a format of a capsule. Until and unless it is not prescribed by the doctors, kindly don't take it up. If the doctors say, if the doctors prescribe for you to go with go with capsules, you can go with. If not so, it's not required for an external consumption. When it is not required, sometimes it might lead to certain talks of toxicity or something. So whenever you are going with any sort of a multivitamin capsules or any sort of a capsules in general, go with the prescription with the doctors. That is highly preferable. Okay, so these are certain sort of macronutrients. So we have carbohydrate, we have protein, and we have lipid. Okay, we saw all these macronutrients. Like, what is a contribution? What does they do? The metabolism of these macronutrients has a various cycle, and most of the cycle takes place in um, liver. Okay, liver, and also certain cycles takes place in muscles also. Okay, so most of the cycles takes place in liver, and liver provides you with the major amount of the metabolism. And after the process has been done, it has been converted into energy, and it has been provided. If in case the glucose has not been used, they are converted into fat, that is like lipid, and stored inside the body. And when you are starving for a longer period of the time, immediately the energy is being provided through the fat that has been stored in your body. Okay, so this is macronutrient. So now next we are going to see about micronutrient. So what is micronutrient? What do they do? So micronutrients, first we are going to go with vitamin. What vitamin? They have been classified into fat soluble vitamin, which is A, D, E, and K, and water soluble vitamins, which is C and B. So vitamin A is very important for us to go with vision. Okay, vitamin A is very important for us to focus on a vision. We can call it as night vision. Okay, night vision is very important when it comes to vitamin A. So, what are the food sources that we can consume? We can go with what to say, tomatoes, cabbage, lettuce, pumpkins, and all the stuffs. And they also help in healing the epithelial cells. And mangoes, papaya, carrots are also the good source of vitamin A, and they help. Vitamin A helps in the normal teeth and bone formation also, and that can be consumed through a non-veg food products like liver and kidney of a goat, and also egg yolk plays a very important role. Milk, butter, and cheese. Okay, these are the certain sources, food sources, which is good for vitamin A. And vitamin D is very important for us to absorb the calcium inside the bone. Okay, and calcification of a skeleton, that is addition of a calcium to a skeleton, is very important, and that calcification is done only when a vitamin D is present. Okay, so we have to consume all this egg, and also we have to consume milk and all the stuffs when we are focusing on vitamin D. And exposure to a sunlight is very important when it comes to the when it comes to the, what to say, when it comes to attraction of any sort of a vitamin D consumption. Okay, and vitamin K, it is very important for us to blood clot, like taking care of a blood clot in general. So vitamin K helps us to clotting the blood, and that helps us to prevent from losing any sort of an excess blood which is not required. Like excess blood uh, uh, loss leads to various other factors. So it's very important that vitamin K in our diet. So if that has been done, K can be consumed through green leafy vegetables and also fruits, cereals, and dairy products. B complex, we have various vitamin B12 and all the stuffs, vitamin, and these vitamin B complexes are helping us to, what to say, take care of the metabolism of carbohydrate, protein, and fat. So we can go with like milk, egg, and all the cereals and everything consist of a vitamin B in general. Vitamin C, they are helping us to preserve scurvy and also prevention from scurvy, and also wound healing process and absorption of an iron. Vitamin C plays a very important role in absorbing iron. So if that is the case, breast milk is a good source of a vitamin C, and also like vegetable fruits like orange, banana, mangoes, grapes, lemons, and potatoes. Vegetables we can go with all these tomatoes and stuffs. Okay, So these are the certain sources and food sources, and also for what purpose the vitamins are used. So we have fat soluble and water soluble. ADEK is fat soluble and water soluble is C and B. Next is minerals. So when it comes to minerals, that is need for a vital function. Okay, and like what to say, we can go with building a bones and also turning a food into an energy, and they helps in regulating the nerve functions, muscle functions in general. Okay, so we have like macro minerals. We can call it macro minerals as calcium, potassium, and magnesium, and micro minerals is very trace, which is iron, zinc, and iodine. Okay, so when it comes to these sort of minerals, first we can go with the calcium. As you know, calcium helps you to take care of teeth and bone health. So calcium, we have to go with milk and cheese and stuffs if that is dairy products. If that is not been or to say good amount of a producer, we can go with the fortified food products nowadays. So fortified food products like flour and cereals will be a good source of calcium, iron, helping us for the formation of in hemoglobin. So meat and meat products is very good contributor for the iron, and also we can go with eggs, green leafy vegetables in general. But meat and meat products are a good contributors, and green leafy vegetables are also a good contributors when it comes to iron. So if the iron has to be absorbed in your body, vitamin C matters. So vitamin C presence helps you to absorb the iron, and that increases the hemoglobin level. Okay, iodine. Iodine is normal for the normal metabolism of the cell, and also to prevent from the goiter and the thyroid issues and all this stuff. And iodized salts nowadays it's available, so that is being used regularly for the iodine consumption. And also certain yogurt and cow's milk are also fortified. Yeah, zinc is very important for the development and also wound healing and all the stuffs. So fish is a good source of a zinc in general. And fluorine helps for the teeth betterment, teeth strength. And fluorine can be consumed through water, and if the fluorine is consumed too much, that leads to fluorosis, and that is not good. Okay, the fluorosis is most prevalent in the villages where the fluorine content in the water is huge in a village. And also soil, if the soil is rich in fluorine, and if the vegetables are cultivated in the soil, that leads to increased amount of fluorine. So if that is the case, fluorosis is another cause. So these are the certain factors when it comes to any sort of minerals. Okay, so we saw macro and micronutrients. So macronutrients, carbohydrates, protein and fat, and we saw about the fiber in additional factor. And micronutrients is vitamins and minerals. Vitamins, fat soluble vitamins A, D, E, K, water soluble vitamins C and B. And we saw minerals. We when it comes to minerals, we saw the minerals like calcium, iron, iodine, and zinc, magnesium, potassium, and fluorine. Okay, so these are the certain contributors of nutrients in general. Okay, so in next class we can see the next topic. I hope you people would have understood the concepts. Okay, thank you.